Every successful creator eventually faces the same question: what happens when the people who helped build the dream decide to leave? For years, Crazy Kennar wasn't just one of Kenya's fastest rising creators, he was the face of a comedy movement that seemed unstoppable. Together with a talented group of young creatives, he produced viral skits, built a loyal audience, and transformed simple social media videos into one of the most recognizable comedy brands in East Africa. From the outside, everything appeared to be working perfectly. The views kept growing, the audience kept expanding, brands wanted partnerships, and media houses wanted interviews. With every new video, the Crazy Kennar team seemed to become even bigger. Then something changed. One by one, familiar faces began disappearing. The videos continued and the brand survived, but the team that many fans had grown attached to was no longer the same. Naturally, people began asking questions. Was it creative differences, business disagreements, personal ambition, or simply the inevitable challenge that every successful creator collective eventually faces? To understand what happened, we first have to understand why the team mattered in the first place. Long before the millions of views, sponsorship deals, and industry recognition, Crazy Kennar was simply another young creator trying to stand out in an increasingly crowded digital world. Social media had lowered the barriers to entry, allowing anyone with a phone and an idea to create content. The challenge wasn't publishing videos, it was getting people to care. That is where Kennar found his advantage. His comedy felt relatable, fast-paced, and deeply connected to everyday experiences, while the growing cast of creators around him gave audiences multiple personalities to connect with. As more members joined the skits, viewers stopped following just Crazy Kennar and began following the entire group. Each member brought a unique energy, a different style of humor, and a personality that strengthened the chemistry audiences had come to love. What started as a creator making videos was slowly evolving into an ensemble cast, and that distinction would become incredibly important as the brand continued to grow. Success arrived quickly. Videos attracted millions of views across social media, followers increased across platforms, and the team became one of the most recognizable comedy collectives in Kenya's digital space. Their sketches were shared widely, quoted by fans, and discussed across the internet, transforming what began as a group of young creators into a rapidly growing entertainment business. To many viewers, it looked like the beginning of something much bigger, and in many ways it was. But success creates pressure. The larger an organization becomes, the more complicated relationships become. Decisions that once felt simple suddenly carry financial consequences, creative disagreements become more significant, then questions about ownership, direction, and individual goals become impossible to ignore. This challenge isn't unique to Crazy Kennar. History is filled with successful groups that struggled to stay together. Music bands split apart, startup founders go separate ways, then sports dynasties eventually come to an end. The reason is often the same: growth reveals differences that were easy to ignore during the early stages of the journey. As the Crazy Kennar brand continued expanding, fans slowly began noticing changes. Familiar faces appeared less frequently, discussions started emerging online, and questions began circulating throughout comment sections. At first, many viewers assumed it was temporary. Content creators take breaks, schedules change, and life happens. However, as time passed, it became increasingly clear that something larger was taking place. Several members began pursuing their own projects, launching independent ventures, and building personal brands outside the collective. For fans, it felt sudden. For the creators involved, it may have been the result of a much longer process that audiences never got to see. This is where discussions about creator groups often become overly simplistic. Viewers usually search for one dramatic explanation, a single conflict, or a clear villain. Reality is often much more complicated. As creator businesses grow, so do the ambitions of the people involved. Someone who begins as part of a team may eventually want to build something of their own. A creator who once prioritized collaboration may become focused on personal goals, and different visions for the future can emerge even among people who genuinely respect one another. The challenge is that audiences rarely witness those conversations. They only see the outcome. In this case, the outcome was that the team many viewers had come to love was changing. The comedy continued, the channel continued, and Crazy Kennar continued creating content, but the dynamic that originally fueled the group's rise was no longer exactly the same. Yet perhaps the most interesting part of the story is what happened next. Many creator brands struggle when key members leave. Audiences lose interest, engagement drops, and momentum disappears. Crazy Kennar faced a different challenge. He had to prove that the brand could survive beyond the original team structure. That required adaptation, reinvention, and a willingness to evolve while continuing to meet the expectations of an audience that had become emotionally attached to the people behind the content. In many ways, that is what makes this story bigger than a discussion about who left and who stayed. At its core, this is a story about the hidden challenges of success. People often focus on building something, but far fewer people talk about what it takes to maintain it. Building an audience is difficult, building a successful team is even harder, and keeping that team together while success, money, recognition, and opportunity continue to grow may be one of the most challenging tasks any creator will ever face. Today, Crazy Kennar remains one of Kenya's most recognizable digital creators, while former members continue pursuing their own journeys and opportunities. New projects have emerged, new audiences have formed, and new chapters are being written. Yet the questions raised by this story remain relevant for every creator, entrepreneur, and business leader. How do you balance individual ambition with collective success? How do you grow without losing the relationships that helped create that growth? And what happens when the people who build something together begin moving in different directions? Perhaps there isn't a perfect answer. Perhaps that is simply the cost of success. The audience came for the comedy and stayed for the personalities, but the real story was never just about the videos. It was about a group of ambitious young creators trying to build something extraordinary together and discovering that success can be just as difficult to manage as failure. Like many remarkable stories, the most important moments happened behind the camera. This has been Vanguard Chronicles. Subscribe for more deep dives into the people, businesses, and ideas shaping modern Africa.